Saturday Night Fever is not dissimilar. All the harsh curse words that were used that are never used in any movie. I don't think there's ever been a more cursing in one movie than in Saturday Night Fever.
Saturday Night Fever was more than just a movie. It was a cultural explosion. With its unforgettable soundtrack and John Travolta's iconic portrayal of Tony Manero, the film cemented its place in cinematic history. But for Travolta, this career-defining role came with a tinge of regret. In a surprising revelation, the star opened up about a decision he wishes he could take back. What is it about Saturday Night Fever that Travolta wishes he had done differently? When Saturday Night Fever premiered in 1977, it didn't just reflect the disco craze, it amplified and immortalized it. The film, set against the backdrop of a gritty Brooklyn, tapped into the aspirations, struggles, and escapism of working-class youth. John Travolta's portrayal of Tony Manero, a young man with dreams of escaping his stagnant life through the glamour of the dance floor, elevated the character to a symbol of the disco-era zeitgeist. Tony represented more than just a dancer. He embodied an entire generation's longing for identity, self-expression, and personal transformation. The film's success was as much about its relatability as it was about its style. The dance sequences, paired with the infectious music of the Bee Gees, became instantly iconic. Tracks like Stayin' Alive and How Deep Is Your Love dominated the charts and cemented the soundtrack as one of the best-selling albums of all time. The pulsating beats and emotionally charged lyrics captured the mood of the late 1970s, reinforcing the movie's cultural footprint. For Travolta, Saturday Night Fever was nothing short of career-defining. His work transitioned him from a budding television star into a bona fide movie star, demonstrating his ability to carry a film and connect with audiences on a deeply emotional level. As he worked tirelessly to prepare for the role, losing 20 pounds and training extensively in dance, his dedication paid off. Roger Ebert noted in his 1977 review that Travolta's performance seems so effortless, so natural, that you can almost imagine him as Tony in real life. This widespread acclaim, and Travolta's subsequent Academy Award nomination for Best Actor, solidified his role as one of Hollywood's leading men. However, beyond the glitz and glamour, the film's darker undertones about disillusionment and societal constraints also added a layer of depth that resonated with viewers. This complexity, combined with Travolta's charisma and the unforgettable soundtrack, ensured the film's lasting legacy and its monumental impact on both the disco movement and popular culture at large. John Travolta's recent revelation about his mixed feelings towards Saturday Night Fever highlights a moment of regret that has weighed on him throughout his career. In an interview reflecting on the film, Travolta admitted, "I should have never done it," as he revisited certain scenes that now feel problematic to him. His regret centers on how some moments in the film cross a line, particularly in terms of the darker dynamics of Tony Manero's relationships and behavior. One of the key points of discomfort appears to be tied to a controversial scene where Tony's immaturity and frustration manifest in an act of aggression toward Annette, a woman who idolizes him. The scene itself, which was designed to showcase the toxic environment and flawed characters of the Brooklyn disco world, was intended to add layers of realism. However, Travolta has since reflected on how these creative choices come across differently with the benefit of hindsight. The actor has not outright condemned the scene as a mistake of the filmmakers, but his regret lies in how it aligns with the larger themes of casual misogyny permeating the 1970s culture portrayed in the film. While it was accurate for the time, Travolta has considered whether that authenticity may have gone too far, or whether it could have been portrayed in a way that didn't leave such an unsettling impact. There's also the question of the tone set by Tony's overall arc in the film. At the time, audiences were captivated by his charm and ambition, but Travolta's recent reflection suggests that perhaps the darker elements of his character's journey weren't addressed as thoughtfully as they could have been. This pushes us to consider not only the choices of the actor, but the responsibility of storytelling in general. John Travolta's reflection on Saturday Night Fever is particularly thought-provoking, given the film's monumental place in his career and its broader cultural importance. Despite being a defining moment for him and for 1970s pop culture, his expression of regret years later provides a unique perspective, especially on how actors reconcile the impact of their most iconic work with their evolving personal and professional values. The role of Tony Manero not only propelled Travolta into global superstardom, but also became inseparable from the disco movement that the film helped define. However, Travolta's acknowledgement of discomfort, with some creative choices in retrospect, sparks an important discussion about how artists process the lasting legacy of their work. For an actor, an iconic role can be both a blessing and a burden, anchoring their success, but also trapping them in the values and narrative constraints of the project's time. This dichotomy raises the question, can something be both a career-defining success and a source of regret? Furthermore, Travolta's reflection offers a deeper look into the complexities of balancing creativity, personal integrity, and commercial pressure. At the time, the filmmaker's goal may have been to authentically represent the gritty dynamics of Tony's world, tapping into the social and cultural experiences of working-class youth in the 1970s. But decades later, those same storytelling decisions, shaped by the context of the era, may feel outdated or even problematic when viewed through a modern lens. As Travolta himself has implied in interviews, artistic choices are often made without fully understanding how they will be received or remembered years later. This tension shines a light on a broader conversation within the entertainment industry, where performers must grapple with both the creative freedom they have in shaping a role and the external pressures to meet commercial or cultural expectations. For Travolta, Tony Manero's charisma and complexity were key to the film's success, but its portrayal of certain attitudes and actions may not align with his present-day perspective. Reflecting on Travolta's experience, the lasting impact of his work might best be understood as a reminder that even the most celebrated performances are shaped by compromises between authenticity and sensitivity, and between immediate audience appeal and enduring relevance. His openness about these struggles not only humanizes his journey, but also invites both audiences and industry professionals to think critically about the legacy of celebrated works. Even the most celebrated achievements can bring about unexpected feelings of regret for those who made them possible. In John Travolta's case, his reflections on Saturday Night Fever remind us that success doesn't always come without personal compromises or second guesses. This raises an important point. How often do we revisit our own decisions, especially those that shaped defining moments in our lives, and wonder how things could have turned out differently? Whether it's an actor looking back on a career-defining role or anyone reflecting on pivotal moments, self-reflection is universal. Perhaps Travolta's comments encourage us to not only appreciate iconic films like Saturday Night Fever from a different perspective, but also to think deeply about the choices we make. So watch the movie again, this time with a critical eye. Can you spot the moments that might align with Travolta's regrets? It's a fascinating way to see a classic through a new lens.